Blog Talk Radio.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, across the airwaves. This is the show that keeps picking up steam on Tuesdays. So blessed to do it. Long time doing it, too. It's American Sports History Podcast in Cleveland, Ohio, hosted by a brother, a mentor, and a friend to me. And I mean that, Peter Ray. Yours truly, Mark Mancini, producing in wet Los Angeles, where I feel like I'm part of the Titanic and I'm holding on to one end as the rowboat's going down the LA River without me. But that's a story for another day. 347-205-9631. Anything after that, blogtalkradio.com/Mancini Sports. Podcast platforms, wherever you subscribe to the podcast, powered now by Mancini Media. So as I lay the carpet down from the Grammys, put the podium in its place, hand off the mic, Peter, the Threes, how are you? How can people get a hold of you? And here comes your wife to listen to this great show because you're bringing this great guest back.
Hi, Mark. I'm doing well. I have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Peter J. REA. You're absolutely right. Tonight's guest is coming on for the 37th time. He played Major League Baseball from 1971 to 1981 with the Chicago Cubs, Oakland A's, LA Dodgers, and San Francisco Giants. He's tied with Dave Collins, 79th all-time career stolen bases, 395. He won 2 World Series championships with the Oakland A's in 1973 and 1974. 2-time American League stolen base leader in 1974 and 76. More than 1,000 hits. First Oakland A's designated hitter. Won a National League pennant in 1978 with the Dodgers. 3 times led the American League in total chances per game, twice in putouts, once in assists from the outfield on a double play. And he was the starting center fielder and leadoff hitter for the coolest MLB team of all time and the greatest, the Oakland A's from the early 1970s. He's my dear wife Alice's favorite podcast guest because he's a good man with a good heart and a good sense of humor. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bill North.
Hey, Peter. How are you? Hey, Alice. How are you?
She's fine too. Yeah, she likes to keep quiet.
She listens to our show, Peter.
She listens later after I send it to her after it's been produced, not live, but she listens to every show. Yeah. Now, Bill, I was thinking tonight. You know, you came to the American League in 1973, and that was my first year as a die-hard Cleveland Indians fan and baseball fan, and you came to the Oakland A's and defending American League champions and became the starting center fielder and leadoff hitter. And you've talked a lot about the Baltimore Orioles being the toughest competition for the A's, and of course you guys had to get past them twice in the ALCS in 73 and 74. So I thought tonight we'd talk about the 1973 Baltimore Orioles.
Wow. Yeah.
So okay, I'll give you one name at a time. The famous manager Earl Weaver. What do you remember about him?
Earl Weaver. If you want to see 2 competitive individuals, you had Dick Williams on one side, Earl Weaver on the other side, and neither one of them liked mistakes or liked to lose. And that was a competition. They were 2 of the best managers ever, and they went against each other. Earl was cool. You know, I never got to really converse with him or anything. You know, but he had a good team. His philosophy was 3-run home run to win the game. You know, but they were too much like us, and they had long grass in that infield. You weren't hitting very many of them through there. Yeah.
So now Earl Weaver was known for his getting into arguments with umpires that went on and on and on, and the fans enjoyed it because he'd get carried away. And did Dick Williams ever do that? As much as Earl Weaver?
Yeah, not quite to the extreme as Earl. Of course, nobody was quite to the extreme of Earl except for that other fool Billy Martin.
And so, okay, go ahead.
But no, Dick would go to the bathroom on you if you were a player, and in the locker room, in the dugout, down at his end of the dugout where the manager stood, and closest to the home plate. If somebody messed up, he would go in that bathroom and slam that door and get to cussing and swearing, calling you everything but the Son of God. But yeah, he was. They didn't like to see them umpires. Didn't like to see him coming now.
So when Earl Weaver would come out on the field and get carried away on, and the fans were enjoying it, and the fans were cheering and yelling and everything. And now, your perspective was, Earl, get off the field so we can play. Is that right?
Not really.
Oh, so you enjoyed it too?
No, I didn't enjoy it. I just kind of said, "Hey, man, that's between him and the umpire. You don't be telling some other manager to get off the field. You end up playing. You
right.
might end up playing for him."
But would you think that?
Well, after a while, actually, that question right there, I've never really been asked that before, but so it obviously didn't upset me that much because I hadn't thought about it.
Okay, let's talk about the players. We'll go through the players one at a time. Earl Williams.
Big Daddy. Yeah, he came over there to the other team in '73. Didn't they have Etchebarren too?
Well, usually they have. Yeah, they had Andy Etchebarren and they had Elrod Hendricks.
Elrod Hendricks. Yeah. Yeah,
but,
Earl was big man. He could hit. He came from Atlanta. I didn't. I don't. Was that afterwards, or was that 73 year?
He was. Well, I looked it up. He was on the '73 Orioles. Yeah.
Oh, well, they must have just got rid of him from Atlanta then. Yeah. Yeah, big day. He came over there to the A's. Yeah, good man. Teammate, and we got along pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, Boog Powell.
Boog Powell plays that. That was. I don't know if he DH'd that year. Maybe Earl did the DH in that year because Boog played first base.
Yeah.
I remember I would get down there and Boog be big as a house, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he moved around pretty good for a big guy, and he could hit. He scared them.
So when you got on
cheated either, Peter.
Huh?
When he swung, he didn't get cheated. When he swung the bat, he was going for it all. No.
When you got on first, would you and Boog exchange pleasantries?
Yeah, we'd say hi.
Okay. He played for Cleveland, and he had a restaurant in the Orioles Stadium years after his retirement. I thought it was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The fans could
play
meet
down
him.
There by what was that? Morgan State. The ballpark was on their campus. Yeah, Memorial State. Yeah.
Okay, Bobby Grich.
Bobby Grich could play. He was the prototype. The big second baseman. And he could pick up that ball, but he was a good hitter too. They had a good lineup over there. But Bobby, still, I never did get him on my show, but I always liked Bobby. Bobby was kind to me, and I appreciated it.
You going to get him on your show?
I don't know. I've been promising that for a while, and I ain't got him, so I'm not going to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was 13 years old. Bobby Grich had a cool mustache. That's the thing I read. Oh, when you're 13, you can't grow a mustache. And I thought, wow, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, we had mustaches too. So.
Well, you were the mustache gang, yeah.
Yeah, the mustache gang. Isn't that something? Yeah. Yeah. But no, he was a good player. He's an all-star and all of that. He like I say, that was the toughest thing I ever had to do, play against them guys. I'm probably going to end up saying that more than once.
Well, that's why I thought we'd talk about him, because you've mentioned that.
Yeah.
I thought, well, that's pretty important. Mark Belanger.
Hey, man. Him and Grich, they had a guy over there named Merv Rettenman that was there before Grich, I think. But Grich came through that year. But Mark Belanger, he Gold Glove shortstop. I told you that grass was long in that infield, and getting that ball through that middle up in there was tough to do. Yeah.
Was Belanger the best defensive shortstop you played against?
No. Best shortstop I ever saw was Gary Templeton.
Oh, okay.
Gary Templeton, they call him Rock Steady.
Uh-huh.
But as an athlete, he had a guy come into San Diego after him. He was over there in St. Louis for a while, but he was in spring training with me in '82.
Uh-huh.
But he plays Ozzie Smith dove for Gary Templeton would catch standing up and get a throw off.
Okay.
And you know Ozzie Smith, Gary Templeton was smooth and just a tremendous, there'd be an argument who was better between him and Ozzie Smith, at least in my mind. But I saw him make plays that I'd never seen shortstop make plays on.
And that was just with your time in spring training with the Padres in '82.
Yeah, along with the fact that, I played against him quite a bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Where?
Yeah. Well, when I came up.
Oh, okay.
When I came up, he came up with. I'm not sure what year he came up. But I was in the National League from '78 on.
Right.
And but I his body of work, I had seen him.
Right.
I had seen him before that, but his range was so tremendous, and when you're playing center field and a ball's being hit through the middle and you're coming up for it, you know which ones should get through and which ones took a really outstanding range to get to, okay, when they didn't make it all the way out there to center field. And I think, and these kind of things as a center fielder, you know which plays you have to make, okay? And then when somebody does something like cut that off on a ball that you had never seen cut off like that before, it registers,
So he saved the outfield.
You're aware of the abilities of your fielders and which balls come to you and which balls don't.
So Gary Templeton saved. With Gary Templeton, there was less work for the outfielders.
Some of the balls weren't coming to me that were supposed to come to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Brooks Robinson.
Well, what do you say? But that ain't hitting the ball to Brooks Robinson ain't no way to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Because you gonna be out.
Did you see a better defensive third baseman than Brooks Robinson?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Brooks was, I had a picture of me hitting a ball by Brooks Robinson. And I got that picture. I found it, and I got that picture, and I took it and had him sign it. And he gladly did. But that picture, hitting a ball past Brooks Robinson, don't try that too often.
And he was a nice guy.
He's a wonderful man. Wonderful man. Wonderful man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don Baylor.
Oh, Groove. Donnie Baylor. When he came over to the A's, he could, I would bring some of them and let them stay with me till they got settled. And Donnie Baylor was one. Donnie Baylor, they called him Groove because Donnie Baylor, when he got hot, he'd go 22 for 25, something like that. He could get hot, and when he got hot, it was something to behold. And but couldn't throw. He had hurt his shoulder playing football in Texas. But he was one of the first ones in baseball to lift weights. Because they didn't want you lifting weights in baseball because they said it bunch up your muscles. But Baylor lifted weights. I think that came from that football experience. But good guy, wonderful person. I miss him. He was a friend of mine.
And he'd go hard into second. Yeah,
he was one of the hardest base runners in the game. Yeah, he messed you up.
Yeah, I know Angel Hermoso got hurt on a collision at second with Baylor.
Yeah, I think Baylor rolled on him. I was one of the hardest base runners too. They had an article one time, and I was one of the top 5. But I would look for that left foot when you come across. You plant that left foot and get up in the air. But if I catch you while it's planted, I can spin you around a little bit. But I never rolled because I didn't want to get somebody's leg cut up under my roll. But
Okay, Paul Blair.
Paul Blair. TV. Paul Blair set the standard for center field. He said, one thing he said is that if they go over your head and stay in the park, you don't know your limitations. If they go over your head, you got to go out of the park. Okay? If they don't let nothing bounce on the warning track. That was a standard too. I let nobody bounce on you. Say if they go over your head and stay in the park, you don't know your limitations. You need to back up a little bit, partner.
So you enjoyed watching Paul. Go ahead.
Well, what you did is, I played the shallow center field, maybe as shallow as Paul Blair and that too. I had more speed than Blair, but he was the standard. Watching him taught me a lot about playing center field, But he was the one, and he and he was thought of as the one you was on the mantle up there, but he's great, feels as good as anybody ever.
So he was Mr. Blair.
Well, I call him Paul or PG.
Okay, just kidding. You enjoyed watching him play center.
Hey man, he set the standard, Peter.
Okay.
And center field, we had some center fielders back in that day too, boy. I'm telling you, you had Gary Maddox, you had Ron LaFleur, you had Oh gosh.
Mickey
Hurts
Rivers.
blood. Mick to quit. Yeah.
Amos Otis.
Oh, A.O. Now A.O. was a standing there. He was right behind Blair.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay, Merv Rettenmund.
Yeah, he was the second baseman, and then Grits came in and took over for him. He was a right-handed hitter, and he didn't get to play much when we played against him. I knew of him, but he was more of a pinch hitter. He'd come in or be a utility guy.
Tommy Davis.
TD? Come on, man. When I first came to the big leagues, Tommy Davis was over there with the Cubs. Tommy Davis was one of my mentors too. He thought I was crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most of my mentors did. I was a little idiot, but no, he was a good friend. God rest his soul too. He is one of the best people you ever want to meet and best people I've ever met in my life. He was just a wonderful person.
Rich Coggins.
Yeah, Coggins and Bunbury. They were the number 1 and 2 hitters. And those guys right there, they could both hit. They both hit around 300. But yeah, Richie Coggins could hit, little left-hander, and he played. And Bunbury played right, or back, or vice versa. Yeah.
Okay, what do you remember about Al?
They were
Go
the
ahead.
Campaneers. They were the Northern Campaneers of Baltimore.
And what do you remember about Al Bunbury?
Bunbury's a good player, good offensive player especially, and he ran the bases. You know, they didn't run like Campaneris and I ran, but those guys were, you know, as far as number 1, number 2 hitters. Those, I mean, us 4 were pretty good standard there. You know, we ignited the offenses.
Andy Etchebarren.
Yep, catcher. Hey man, an old time catcher. He was Jerry Grody type, and but he could handle that pitching staff. That's what he did real well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Terry Crowley.
I don't remember him.
Okay. Elrod Hendricks.
Elrod Hendricks was with the Cubs when I came up, and he was my roommate for a little while. He might have been my first. No, I think Juan Pizarro was my first roommate, and then I had Elrod Hendricks. I didn't like to sleep in the room with men because they snore too loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Ferguson Jenkins when we were on the for a roommate, and then I told them that I'd pay for my own room, and I started. You know, rookies weren't supposed to room alone, but they let me. So,
Doug DeCinces.
Brooks Robinson. Brooks Robinson was his forebearer.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good player. He played down there, and then he went to Anaheim.
You
know, he wasn't there long. He came up through the Baltimore organization. Then he went to Anaheim. He had a hell of a career. He could pick it too, but he wasn't no Brooks Robinson. But he was an excellent third baseman.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, but he went over there to Anaheim, and he had his own career. He was, I think you consider him, all in all, a more feared hitter than Brooks. But Brooks would just beat you. You know what I'm saying? He was easy every way. The Simpsons had more pop in his bat, but Brooks had an offensive career that was notable. I thought the Simpsons was a better all-around hitter, but that might not be right.
Okay, the pitching staff: Jim Palmer,
JP. Hey man, you should look at them numbers on JP. And he kicked, and you couldn't run on him either. If you did get to first base, you couldn't run on him. He was real quick to first base, and he had that big old kick and stuff, but he varied his time to the plate, and that's what throws a base stealer wants to time you. When a pitcher holds the ball or he comes out quick, it'll make you play base to base baseball, and he made you play base to base baseball. But a tremendous pitcher and competitor.
And they called him Pancake Palmer?
I don't know what they call him. I called him Sir.
Mike Cuellar.
Yeah, I like Mike. I like to hit off of Mike. I didn't hit that many home runs, but I know he's in there. Yeah, but that year they had 420 games. That was 74. They had 420 game winners, I think it was.
Right. Yeah, they really. Yeah, Palmer, Cuellar, McNally, and Pat Dobson. Let's see, Dave McNally.
Good pitcher. He was everything right down there between your knees and your ankles stayed down there. He started out off a little bit above your knees. By the time he got to the plate, that sinker, and he turned it over, and he had good curveball. He was a competitor too. He was I used to like him. Whenever I got a chance to bat right-handed, I always liked that more. Because I came up as a right-handed hitter. But the Orioles had that pitching staff. They were like us. We, Dobson won 20 games, and that was kind of something that was, them other guys had softened us up. He was the fourth starter, but he went out there and got his 20 games. But, come on, man. We had 3. And Odom would be in there sometime. But it was, come on, man.
Doyle Alexander.
He was a spot starter. And then he came over to the where was he? Was he with me at the Giants or the A's?
I don't know.
No, but he was with the Dodgers. I think he might have been with the Dodgers where I was with him. But he's a good pitcher too.
You've got the Oakland A's Fan Fest coming up February 24th. Looking forward to hearing about that. Our guest has been Mr. Bill.
We're done already?
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, and that definitely applies here because I know I'm having fun. And,
I know that's right.
Our guest tonight has been Mr. Bill North, who played Major League Baseball from 1971 to 1981, and was the starting center fielder and leadoff hitter for the coolest and greatest MLB team of all time, the Oakland A's, from the early 1970s. Bill, do you have any final words tonight for our audience?
I just thank you for having me, including me on your show, Peter. And the fans, appreciate them too. Remember the North Legacy Project. You can look it up online. If you got $1 or $2, we would appreciate it. Well, that's about it. God bless you and keep you. And yours.
Right. Well, it's been wonderful having you on again. It's a gift, and I'm grateful for having you on every 2 weeks is because I was 13 years old. Yeah, here we're talking about 1973. That was my year when I was riveted, and you guys were the best team in baseball. And you were the leadoff hitter and stealing bases when Cleveland Indians couldn't seem to do that very much. And you were an exciting team, and all those guys are memorable. And it's so wonderful having you on to remember that amazing Oakland A's team. 3 straight World Series, 72, 73, 74. So thanks so much, Bill, for coming on again tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll have Bill back in 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to have Matthew DiBiase. We'll talk NFL history. 2 coaches, Jimmy Conzelman, who coached from 1921 to 1948, won NFL championships with the Providence Steamroller and the Chicago Cardinals. We'll also talk about Sean McVay, who has been coaching the L.A. Rams from 2017 to the present. Dear listener, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Good night, everybody. Thanks again so much, Mr. Bill North.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.